Hi, my name is Maha Guru Anthony Davis, and I'm the founder and chief Great Grandmaster of the organization is known as the World Serrada Escrima Federation, as well as now the newly created United World Serrada Escrima Federation as well. I want to thank everybody that is joining in on this particular chat. Um, Many of you may know that this is the day that the legendary Great Grandmaster Angel has passed away, March 3rd, 1991. And to commemorate him and his many accomplishments, we basically are going to give him the credibility that he has due. Sorry for that, audio difficulties, but to make a interview versus some of the people who basically experienced Angel Cabales when he was alive. Please feel free to join in on this particular chat. I want to thank everybody that also within the different generations of Cabales Serrada Escrima who are pretty predominant and proliferating themselves out there in the world of Cabales Serrada Escrima. People like Great Grandmasters Rene Latosa, one of the legends of FMA. He basically is also one of my inspirations in the world. So I wouldn't have been able to actually come in direct contact with the legendary Great Grandmaster Guru Angel Cabales. So I definitely want to give out a strong respect and regard for Great Grandmaster Guru Rene Latosa. Full speed ahead, my brother. Also, there are a few others I'd like to commemorate and give gratitude to also, and that is the late Ted Lukai, Ted Lukai, Maha, Ted Lukai was also another inspiration for me in the world of Filipino martial arts. Going back as far as 1983 in Solano County, a little city outside of Fairfield, California, Ted Lukai was one of the major Kali Jikundo highlights for a promotional event that I presented on behalf of FMA in that particular area of Northern California, along with the immaculate Ted Lukai was the even more immaculate Maha Guru Dan Inosanto. Dan Inosanto basically assisted Maha Guru Ted Lukai at this 1983 event. And it was a spectacular turnout in terms of the distinctive personalities that came out in order to be a part of this historical. Professor Joseph Bautista. We had also the legendary Kaju Kimbo Grand Professor Tony Ramos, founder of Tony Ramos Kaju Kimbo, was one of our very special guests at that event. And essentially, he came in as a primary dignitary, and it turned out that the legendary Professor Tony Ramos was a elder teacher for Dan Inosanto as well as Richard Bustillo in the arts of Kaju Kimbo early years. But at any rate, this particular chat is to commemorate again the late legendary Great Grandmaster Guru Angel Cabales. Many of you already know that Angel Cabales is considered the father of Escrima in the United States of America, and we consider him in our particular federation the nucleus of FMA in America as well as other places throughout the world. Because of Great Grandmaster Angel Cabales, I was able to effectuate a strong strategic promotional plan in order to take the late Great Grandmaster Angel Cabales' art overseas, specifically to Germany. We worked very hard in terms of fine tuning me in his art so that we could actually plant the more fundamental aspects of the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima in a foreign land. This took place back in 1990. I prepared for that particular adventure for approximately maybe 3 years, working very vehemently with Angel at his home predominantly. But at any rate, because of Angel, Filipino martial arts has proliferated pretty much in many divisions of distinctive other styles of martial arts as well. You're going to find Cabales Serrada Escrima has integrated itself into just about every other particular style of martial arts, especially Kaiju Kempo, Kempo Karate. You're going to find it in Goju-Ryu, because some of the students or graduate instructors of Angel Cabales have strong backgrounds in the Goju-Ryu arts. But at the level of the soft aspects of Serrada Escrima, you're going to find that also practitioners from other arts, such as the Chinese art of Jeet Kune Do mix with Wing Chun, is a very agreeable art with the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima. Due to the fact that Maha Guru Dan Inosanto, as well as the late Grandmaster Richard S. Pastillo, along with Maha Guru Ted Lukai Lukai, all three trained under Great Grandmaster Guru Angel Cabales at one point in time, going back to the early 70s. Because of their training with the late Great Grandmaster, they were able to actually integrate many of the intricate aspects of the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima into their already well-honed systems of martial arts. And so you will see a lot of similarities of what practitioners in the arts of Jeet Kune Do are doing today in relationship to the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima. The other beautiful part of this art is that it is not just a physical system of martial arts. Cabales Serrada Escrima, I have found through my many years of studying the fundamentals of what I learned directly from Angel Cabales, have hidden, if I could use that terminology within it, certain other aspects, such as the geometrical combinations of techniques that can be used within the contents of distributing the Cabales Serrada system of Escrimatics. Can learn so many other elements of this art just by studying the first three, then the first five into the combination of 12 angles of attack and counterattacks, many hidden other aspects that will take you into grappling, take you into pressure point manipulations upon one's wrist areas, elbow areas, a combination of just many different aspects are layered, if I could use that terminology, deep within the nucleus or the fundamentals of the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima. And that is one fascinating thing that I found in my many years of studying this art, that this art will automatically precipitate itself into futuristic mentalities or approaches or ideas based upon the fundamentals of the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima. So at this particular point, I'd like to kind of just go back down memory lane and talk a little bit about some personal experiences also that I had with the late great Grandmaster Angel Cabales, because there are other ways to get to know his art more intricately just by sitting down and just having casual conversations with him. And I've had so many of those conversations with Angel Cabales that I'd like to share at least a few of my favorite memories of the Great Grandmaster. The first time I met Angel, it was for me, grand experience because, like many others, I had read the book that was published on behalf of Maha Guru Dan Inosanto, titled Filipino Martial Arts, as taught by Dan Inosanto. And as I read more and more into the source of the book, it appeared that Angel Cabales seemed to be the central, integral nucleus of the things that Danny Inosanto demonstrated within the pictorial aspects of the book. In other words, you could really see the strong influence of Angel Cabales' system within what Dan was projecting within the contents of his book. And so as I flick more and more through the pages, you see students such as the late Mangi Gusuro, Mikey Nye being pictured in some of the action shots. You see Dentoy, Grandmaster Dentoy Revelar in the book. And but as you see all these different figures and faces, it begins to dawn upon you that all of these people were students under the late Great Grandmaster Guru Angel Cabales. And so I think that for me was the essential fascination of wanting to meet this man one-on-one. And so going back to Great Grandmaster Guru Rene Latosa, because of him distributing the direct number to me, telephone number for Angel Cabales, I was able to come in direct contact with him. Also, at that same point in time, dating back to about 1984, when all this happened, the exchange with the telephone numbers of Angel, I was presenting at that particular time a mega workshop featuring Maha Guru Dan Inosanto. Unfortunately, Maha Guru Inosanto became ill in the city of Chicago and was not able to attend that particular function. And so there was a great disappointment from those who, of course, had prepaid for the event. But fortunately, we were able to secure not only the Great Grandmaster Angel Cabales to replace Maha Guru Inosanto, but we were able to also secure one of his former students, Professor John Eliab, along with his compadre or partner, Great Grandmaster Gilbertino, along with one of my Kung Fu soft style masters, grandmasters, John K. Wong of the Wuxing Tai Chi system of Tai Chi Chuan. So we had some major, mega replacement personalities that attended the 1984 Filipino Martial Arts Workshop. And thanks to all of these great grandmasters, the event was a major success. But from that particular workshop is when I had actually come to the conclusion that I was going to definitely want to study directly Filipino martial arts under the auspices of Great Grandmaster Angel Cabales, especially after having viewed him in action at the particular workshop that was given in 1984. And so from that point forward, he took me on as a private student, and it was a 7-year journey into the world of Oz, because again, the deeper you submerge yourself into the art of the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima, the more your mind begins to expand and decrease itself in terms of what the techniques stimulate the mind to do. And so Serrada, which is a term which means to close or close, and then Escrima, of course, a term which means to skirmish or quick encounter, became the motto or cliche of Angel Cabales' combative art. And so the names themselves also depict many of the applications of how the techniques are distributed as well. Techniques are done in such a way that you get directly to the source. The other spooky part about the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima is the fact that it is a counter system or a counteractive system. The art allows an assailant or assailants to actually launch their attacks so that the Serrada Escrima defender can actually use or bounce off the momentum and the energy of the attack thrown at oneself for its success in subduing the opponent or attacker. In other words, the art allows, let's say, a knife stab to come straight into the solar plex area, almost touching the solar plex area before attack is usually distributed in the Cabales Serrada system Escrima. That to me was pretty spooky because I've always been taught in the prior arts that I have studied to back away from a knife attack, or if it's coming in, to still keep it within a certain amount of distance. But you definitely don't want to get to the point where the blade is almost penetrating through your body. So these are the type of distributional techniques mentally and physically that the techniques are designed behind within the system of Cabales Serrada of Escrima. In other words, you, after a while, become so conditioned to allowing these attacks to come almost, as Angel would say, to the point to where it touched your eyebrow, that you became comfortable in allowing techniques to come in because now, at a certain point, you're perfecting these small intricacies, those little tiny intricacies that hide behind the external aspects of the art. And so there is as Angel would say, a lock and a key to each and every tactic that is taught and learned. Because even once you master these 12 angles of attacks and counterattacks, there are still other layers to the onion that lie deeper within the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima. And so these are the little things that, learning directly under Angel, one would pick up if you really listened and studied the different things that he was distributing to you. Angel was a man of the earth, I'd like to say. He was very direct in regards to what he taught you. He could back up pretty much everything that he said. One great memory I had of him back in 1984 was after the workshop was completed, we had a little after party, a little get together. And of course, Angel was the highlight and the special guest of the party. And so he was pretty happy that day. He was able to come into an environment where the people who attended the seminar were very receptive. Once they saw what he had to offer, they were no longer fixated upon the fact that there was a cancellation for Maha Guru Dan Inosanto, and no disrespect in any way. But yeah, Angel fascinated that day. But going back to the after party, my very special memory, and I'm sure Grandmaster Darren Tabon, the co-founder of Angel's Disciples, will back me up on this story. But as we began to get into the gist of the party, Angel called me over to him and he was explaining to some of the participants at the after party that it's not always about strength, brute strength, that you're able to overpower or control an assailant. So at that particular time, I weighed about 185 pounds. And so, I was kind of curious of what he called me over to him for. But as soon as I got in front of him, he maneuvered behind me or maneuvered up under me and picked me up on his back. And he only weighed in at that particular time about maybe, let's say, about 150 pounds. Angel was not a small guy per se in terms of his size, because he did have cuts and muscles and bones that felt more like kamagong sticks. But he picked me up over his back and held me up there for, I would say, at least a good 90 seconds and then put me down. But all the time that he was holding me up on his back, he had a cigarette in the side of his mouth and a Budweiser beer on the other side. So he took the cigarette out of his mouth after taking a puff of it, picked up the beer, sipped it, on, put that down, put the cigarette back in his mouth, all this time holding me up on his back. And then he let me down. And of course, we were all fascinated with what we had just seen displayed by the Great Grandmaster. But Angel explained that, again, everything is not based upon brute strength. It's based upon placement, timing, and of course, the courage and the confidence to pull techniques off. And that Great Grandmaster Angel Cabales had a tremendous amount of. And so this is going to be a short chat. We didn't get into too much discussion today, but I will be coming back in another chat to discuss some of the intricacies of the combative distribution of the Cabales Serrada system of Escrima. So I want to thank everyone for participating and just viewing this short commemoration chat. Again, Angel Cabales passed away on March 3rd, 1991. And this is my way of saying thank you, Angel, for all that you have done for me and continue to do. Mabuhay ang Cabales Serrada Escrima.